Portable TV. Come watch with me. As the U.S. surpasses 26 million COVID infections, President Biden is scrambling to speed up vaccinations across the country. The administration announcing it will be increasing the vaccine supply again while focusing on providing more inoculations to underserved communities. All this as providers try to keep up with the growing number of second doses needed as millions more Americans become eligible to get the vaccine. RT's Trinity Chavez has the story.
After hitting a few snags, the Biden administration is working to improve its ambitious coronavirus vaccine rollout, this time promising more vaccine supplies come spring and zeroing in on some of the most vulnerable populations in underserved communities. This as new research shows that individuals with dementia, specifically Black Americans, are at increased risk of getting COVID-19.
Little Poke 1, 2, 3.
Today, the race to vaccinate intensifying. The Biden administration ramping up efforts, announcing its increasing vaccine supply to states, tribes, and territories by 5% over last week for a total of a 25% increase. Intensifying. The Biden administration ramping up efforts, announcing its increasing vaccine supply to states, tribes, and territories by 5% over last.
Hey, shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders, the apostles, the great millstone. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. You heard what she just said? She said states, tribes. I'm going to rewind that again. But she said something about tribes and so-called blacks being the one that's under proportion by this vaccine and by this virus. You see what I'm saying? They're targeting Jake because Biden said that he want to have 100 million inoculated within his first 100 days. So when spring comes, they're getting ready to up the ante on you Jakes. All right, which this is the start of Jacob's trouble that the scripture talks about. And also what Yahweh Shai said, he says that that lest that day should be saved, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days will cut short because according to the scriptures, man, there's a great tribulation, which stands for great trouble, is getting ready to hit. And you know, the Lord is merciful in all his ways because right now we're in the middle of a freaking polar vortex. I mean, we're going to see temperatures in the negative 16s, the negative degrees. Like right now, it's literally like 2 degrees outside, and it's supposed to get colder over the next couple of days. All right, we've been in this all week, and let's just say if they start kicking in doors and forcing this on people at this time, that make Esau a real devil. But then again, hey, it may still be because we know that he's playing with the weather. We know that he's causing it to be inclement weather, like he considered global warming, which is global cooling. But we know that through the spirit and power Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, Esau Edom, which is the left hand of the Lord, we know that he's behind this cold, bitter weather, and he could keep it like this all the way up until March if he wanted to. You know what I'm saying? Because hey, so far we've had a pretty mild winter, but on the back end of it, it's looking pretty bad. But anyway, she said tribes and states and different provinces, so to speak. So this tells you and tells us that they're targeting the Israelites. And history repeats itself. It's not the first time they've ever targeted our people. You know, because hey, they know that we're the chosen people of the Lord. And in order for us to do away with that birthright, that blessing, they're going to do whatever it takes in order to, you know, afflict Jake. But anyway, I'm going to play a little bit more of this, and then we're going to get some scriptures.
Intensifying. The Biden administration ramping up efforts, announcing its increasing vaccine supply to states, tribes, and territories.
States, tribes, and territories. So you know that fits in the Native Americans too, okay? Because they're still considered tribal as well, okay?
By 5% over last week for a total of a 25% increase since President Biden came into office.
I think we're in a position to think big and move big.
The announcement made as the U.S. is facing new challenges, trying to juggle first and second vaccine doses. While providers are trying to ramp up the number of people getting their first COVID-19 shot, they are also trying to ensure a growing number of others get second doses of the shot, all while millions of Americans are becoming eligible to receive vaccines. In some cases, health departments and providers have had to cancel first dose appointments to ensure there are enough doses for people getting the second shot.
American people are hurting. There's a lot of people are in real trouble.
The Biden administration also announcing the White House.
And this dude Biden is a real freaking devil, man. Okay, he's a real demon. And you know what? This is actually good for you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, because your black ass the one that voted to help put him in office. And he's sitting up there smiling and laughing in your face, and he's been a damn devil. You really believe that this man is coming to save humanity, man. And Lord got another thing for you tribes, because the prophet's been out here warning you for years that times like this is gonna come. And hey, you wanted it, so be it. You know, you wanted it, hey, here you go. Because what they ain't gonna tell you is that with Pfizer and Moderna, a lot of people are succumbing to this stuff. You know, it's a media blackout on the adverse effects, but then you got doctors and so forth bringing out a lot of information on how this can be very, very negative on you people. And I gotta watch what I say, because you know, this devil, he gets a little butthurt when you speak and when you expose him. But it's so funny though, but they can talk about this on YouTube. You know, RT America has its own YouTube channel dedicated to them, and we're just reporting on the same thing through this and filtering through the scriptures. But for whatever reason, when we do it, it's a damn issue. You know, it's a problem. Show you the hypocrisy of the so-called white man.
House will begin sending doses of COVID-19 vaccines to community centers next week.
Go in, pick it up, get it, done.
With more than 1,300 community centers across the country, most of the nearly 30 million people they serve live below the poverty line in
minority communities, all right? There you go. So they're going to start sending this to your community neighborhoods, the place where your kids go to daycare. You know, like a lot of Jakes, they be in what they call rec centers, recreational centers, where you got, you know, you can play basketball, you can lift weights, you can hit the track and field, you can swim. Those are called rec centers. You know what I'm saying? In order to get in these particular places, they're going to want you to take a vaccine, you see? And they're going to come out with some type of law or some type of mandate to say, well, look, if you ain't got the max, then you can't come up in here, because, hey, we don't know if you are a carrier of this madness. You see what I'm saying? So they're going to play on the fear of you Jakes, which they've been doing, because a lot of Jakes ain't really been dealing with it. What's up, man? A lot of Jakes ain't been dealing with it for real. You know, Jake has been like, nah, I ain't with it, I don't trust it, etc. And you notice a lot of Edomites have been getting it, because the scriptures say, hey, let them be taken in the devices which they have imagined. So a lot of Edomites are getting popped off by this, and Esau is seeing that. So he's like, wait a minute, man, this ain't really meant for my people to get popped off. We got to get Jake. So that's what it's all about. So now that Jake is not going to be the reason of them reaching herd immunity, eventually what they're going to do is roll the military out. You see what I'm saying? Because they got to bully you into accepting this. And if you ain't of the Lord's elect, then you're going to succumb to it. And if you resist it, then they're going to throw you in prison. Simple. Unless you're a man of the Lord.
communities.
So in this initial phase, we will include at least one community health center in each state and territory.
This as a new study reveals that people who have dementia, especially Black Americans, have more of a chance of getting COVID-19. After analyzing electronic health data from 61.9 million American adults, researchers from Case Western University found the risk for contracting the virus is twice as high for people with dementia versus those without it. And while patients were more likely to be hospitalized or die of COVID-19 than people without cognitive disease, among those with dementia, Black patients have nearly 3 times the risk of being infected with coronavirus as white patients did.
You see that shit? You see how they playing? And they keep saying fucking black. Like, motherfucker, who's black? Okay, Jake ain't black, okay? Like, I'm looking at this black vehicle in front of me. That's black. I never seen a Negro that color. Now, I've seen Jake that's dark brown, but I ain't seen no black Jake like that. Like, I'm looking at the snow on the ground. That's white. I never seen a Edomite that looks that color white. You see? Like Elder Malcolm would call him the pale-faced male. You people got a lot to pay for. That's all I'm going to say. And Jake going to hear this and be like, yeah. And Jake, and a lot of Jakes, they going to rebut up against it. A lot of Jakes ain't dealing with it. They said, man, the hell with you and your shit, and your potion. Jake don't want to deal with it. And, hey, that's the spirit of the Lord that's on Jake to get them to resist it, because we're not supposed to deal with Esau's medicine or pseudoscience, because it's going to prove to be a detriment into your health. Okay?
Pamela Davis, professor of general medical sciences at Case Western University, said that is consistent with other studies in COVID infections that African Americans are more likely to acquire SARS-CoV-2 and also do worse once they get it. It's certainly a vulnerable population and one that's important to protect. And while experts say the vaccine rollout is improving, new data shows about 1 in every 3 Americans are still skeptical of COVID-19 vaccines. And some health officials say that is bad news for any hope of achieving herd immunity and defeating the outbreak here in the U.S. Reporting in New York, Trinity Chavez, RT.
That's stupid because China, I mean, how the hell did China didn't require this, but they fully back up and running? You know, it hit there first, but now they fully back up and running. And also, how in the hell did Switzerland or Sweden, one of them countries, they see lesser deaths than anybody and they haven't even shut down? They didn't shut down, I don't think, even once, and yet they got fewer numbers. So you see what I'm saying? You see the games they're playing on people? Yep. Anyway, let's go to the book of Isaiah 47, because this is nothing but witchcraft. All right, this is sorcery that they're pumping on the people, and this media is dealing with sorcery. So this is the book of Isaiah 47, and I'm gonna start at verses 12. It says, "Stand down with thy enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries." Like that talking head you just rep that was on the RT. That's sorcery. That's witchcraft, because she's betwixting people. Okay, she's giving a narrative through the elites and through her superiors to put that venom out there so people can ultimately become bewitched by it. You see? And ultimately, once they start showing like more hospital footages and so forth, then people going to start being convinced. But our people, they ain't really convinced of it, you know, besides, you know, hand a few people. Like I said, this one Jake last week, when they was rolling it out at my job, he said that he wasn't going to get it until they tested it, but he messed around and he got it. And I know that he suffers from a lot of health issues, so ain't no telling what type of long-term effect it may have on him. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, I've been warning him. I've been saying, look, man, I wouldn't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But, you know, Jake and they mindset, you know, they do what they feel they want to do. And, hey, that's fine. You know, that's between you and your how about you and how shy. But, hey, when things start happening and that second jab comes, you're going to have to get it. And they're going to keep saying you got to get another one and another one. It's going to basically be a society of getting human jabs on a daily basis, you know, to the point that you're going to be so jabbed out. To the point like you ain't even going to be able to withstand it anymore, you know. And it says here, "For wherein thou hast labored from thy youth, if so be thou should be able to profit, and if so thou be able mayest to prevail." So his sorcery is getting weak, and this is why a lot of people ain't really convinced. Like she said, 1 in 3 Americans are still skeptical about this, and they have every right to be, because people are listening to alternative media. People are not listening to their typical news stations anymore. You know, CNBC, MSN, you know, CNN, that's all, you know, watered down. People listen to Al Jazeera, RT News, which RT, you got to take out, you know, you got to take the bitter with the sweet. But RT is going to expose a little bit more than CNN or, you know, Channel 5 News. Al Jazeera, Jerusalem Today, those are good news stations to look. And on top of that, you got the YouTube, which is the biggest form of, like, basically YouTube is a big media or a big news media platform, because all the information is coming out on a tube. BitChute too, because I got 2 videos in my phone right now that they was exposing what the real deal was with this, but I can't put it on a page because they'll just shut the page down. They won't even give you a warning, because the information is just too of a detriment, and it's out there, you see. But anyway, it says here, "But thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels, but let now the astrologers and the stargazers and the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that should come upon thee." That's right. So tell your sorcery and your witchcraft and all your other shenanigans to save you from what's getting ready to go down. Because at the end of the day, the Lord is throwing a big monkey wrench in this New World Order stuff. And they just going to have to come out with the chip. Because once they don't reach herd immunity, they can say, well, the economy is going to collapse. Go to phase 2 of our plan. Either we release a biological weapon, or we, you know what I'm saying, or we, we bring out the RFID chip. However they decide to do it. But at the end of the day, it's the anger of the Lord. But this is the book of Lamentations 4:16. It says, "The anger of the Lord hath divided them, and he will no more regard them. And they respect," it says, "they respected not the persons of the priests. They favor not the elders. It's talking about you wicked jakes. And it says, and as for us, our eyes yet failed for our vain help, and our watching we have watched for a nation that could not save us, right? And Jake is depending on Esau to come in and save the day with this Maxine. You know, like I said, a lot of Jakes are skeptical of it, but eventually Jake gonna get weak and weary, and they're gonna succumb to it. They're gonna fall victim of it, because they ain't gonna have the spirit of the Lord that's gonna give them the power of resistance. It says here, we have watched for a nation that cannot save us, and they hunt our steps that we cannot go on our streets, and our end is near, and our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. That's right, you know, and the end is come. The end is come for Babylon, the end is come for the so-called white man, and the end is come for the 2/3 of our people. And it says, our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of heaven. And there you go, that eagle again. And what's Esau's end of them? The eagle. It says, and they pursued us upon the mountains, and they laid wait for us in the wilderness. And the breath of our nostrils, the anointed of the Lord, was taken in their pits, of whom we said, under the shadow we should live among the heathen. And this is why our people have been dispersed among the heathen, because we were following heathenistic customs, and we departed from our own laws, statutes, and commandments. So this is why the Most High is bringing this upon you Israelites out there. And a lot of you guys, man, that's claiming to be Israelites, a lot of you are going to fall victim to it too, because you're not really speaking out against it. Instead, you basically have a gag order, or you're taking a silent approach. But you're supposed to expose this stuff, man. You know? The last precept, this is the book of Matthew 24:20. It says, but pray ye that your flight be not in winter, neither on a Sabbath day. For then should be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no ever shall be. Meaning this time is going to be worse than any time in human history. Like, we ain't seen nothing yet. You think it's bad now? This ain't nothing. This is still relatively light compared to what's getting ready to go down now here. And it says here, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, meaning that everybody would die if the Lord didn't speed up the days, because the days are like that. We're already in the middle of February. It says, but for the elect's sake, those days should be shortened. All right, but with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and with that, Shalom and the Baba Ball.